Okay, Mishlei 24, 28 through 29, which I'm lumping together, even though you could make the argument that you should not lump them together. I think I'm making the argument based on, let's check. I believe the pesukim are together. Let's see. 24, pass that down, or actually in a paragraph. I don't know though. In the parsha. Yes, 28 and 29 are their own paragraph. In the part their own parsha, and the Meiri puts them together, so I'm going to assume that they're together. Okay. Al tihi eid chinam b're'echa v'hafitisa bisvasecha. Don't.
A free witness.
Okay, don't be a china free witness. Yeah, that sounds weird though, right?
A witness for free.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say I'll put free because that's literal translation. Pointless. Okay. What's the other, like sinas chinam? We don't call it free hatred, and we don't call it pointless. Well, we actually call it baseless. Yeah. Baseless. Witness. Okay. Well, I mean, obviously we have to define that. B're'echa.
In your presence?
No.
Neighbor.
Neighbor. So how would you do the bet? Okay, with or
but
yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Against, yeah, I feel like it's against here. Okay, right, against. But we'll say with. Okay, your neighbor, or let's say your fellow, right? I think that's my usual comrade. Yes. V'hafitisa bisvasecha.
And
this is a weird one.
Your mouth.
A hammer.
So this is from the same short as pesi. Yeah, and I think a pesi is someone who is mispate b'yitro, someone who is seduced by his own yetzer, or easily seducible by others. And you seduce, I'm gonna just say and seduce him bisvasecha with your lips. Okay, strange. Okay, then it goes on. Al tomar kasher asali kin aselo. Ashiv la'ish kafa alo.
Don't say, just like what was done to me, I'll do to him.
As he did to me, right? As he did to me, so will I do to him. I shall return to. There's a better word for Ashiv here. Pay back, right?
Yeah.
Pay back the man. Recompensate according to his reciprocate is actually good, his act. Okay, or his all right. So Sadigon just helps us out by smoothing out the first pasuk. He says al ti eid chinam l're'echa liftoso bisvasecha. Don't be an eid chinam with your fellow to seduce him with your lips. Okay. Meaning like by seducing with your lips, right? Like there's not two separate things. So I'll just write that here. Don't be an aid chinam to your fellow to seduce him with your lips. And it's just a smoother reading. Obviously, it doesn't have to be like that. And then the Targum, I think. Okay, I don't know for sure, but I'm like pretty sure. Lo seheve sahada ragala b'chavrach usa shragig b'sifah vasach. Shragig b'sifah vasach is the translation of hifitisa. Can't say that. But what is sahada ragala? Anyone know? Yeah, right. So don't be a defamatory witness or like a. Don't be a defamatory. I think is probably the best one. Like being meragel on your favero is like speaking lashon hara about him. All right. So that's that. Okay. Then we got the art scroll that says, I think I'm going to have to keep all of these up because I think they're all different. Do not offer vain testimony against your fellow to endear yourself with your lips. So he's translated as to endear yourself. Okay, so that is a type of seduction. But
justify yourself.
What was that?
Like justify yourself?
Well, endear is more to like make yourself likable, right? Or to make yourself like in line with his desires.
Not to yourself, just yourself to like something.
Yeah, to make yourself endearing to your friend with his lips, with your lips. What was that? Yeah, like flattery, right? Do not say as he has done for me. So they say for me, so will I do for him. I will reward the man according to his acts. Now that sounds like all right. I should have asked this beforehand. Oops.
That sounds like a great mindset.
Yeah, it does, right? I guess we need this positive. Did you take 29 as like doing bad or doing good? Yeah, me too, right? I just feel like, but so Arthur was taking it as doing good.
Yeah.
And the words lend themselves to either.
It seems like he's trying to reconcile the seducing him.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Therefore, it takes the second pasuk
Right.
positive.
I was taking the seduction as a means of like luring him to a false sense of security to harm him, But yeah, all right. So I'm going to keep the article up here because this is different. I'm sure they have a basis in Mitzvahs David usually.
Yeah, I guess eid chinam, that doesn't have a negative connotation.
Right.
It could be
Yeah.
negative, but I think it doesn't necessarily have a negative connotation. If you take the first positive as trying to do a positive thing to the person,
Yeah.
If you think it's going to be helpful,
Right.
then I think then you have to interpret the second positive as
Yeah, right. There's definitely a cascade effect with the if you take one way, then it's gonna force you to read the rest of the segment
So
another
he's
way.
reading it like with your fellow, like being.
No,
angry with your
it's
fellow.
okay. Well, it is strange that they do say against your fellow, right? Like they just still say against. I would agree with you that it would you should translate the bet differently there.
Yeah, in your translation where you have one of the with or / against, it makes sense to do.
Right.
with.
Or I would even say for your
for
fellow, right? Yeah. Let's
yeah.
put that here as a possibility.
That can also mean for.
That can mean whatever you want it to mean. Real honestly, yeah.
Still this hard, man.
Yeah.
What?
I'm sure we got words in English.
What?
Bet as a prefix can mean whatever you want it to be. I mean, you know what? Do we have a greenie there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to check. It's always good to review these things. My rule, right? Someone was recently asking about. I know I've said this a lot, but I'm gonna say it again. About the how I learned to translate, and what was it? It was Mary. Yeah. So the way I learned to translate was if I'm not 100% sure that I know what the word is, I'll look it up. So bet is at, by, in, into, with, not against, but
Not for.
but it can mean whatever you want. But yeah, I'm still sticking with it. But that's what the dictionary says. Yeah. Okay. Living Nach says, do not be a witness against your friend without cause. Okay, that's another one, without cause, right? That's like baseless. For you will have deceived with your lips. Now that's not like sadigon. That's like a consequence, or not a consequence. That is a cause. Not another sadigon is making them into one action, right? Don't be an eid to your fellow to seduce him with your lips. And this is saying, don't do this because you will have done that. Yeah.
So I'm a little confused by the fact that there's a few different translations that seem to take the tense of the hafitisa differently.
Mhm.
Is there not just?
I have no clue. Yeah. Vav hahipuch. That's what people will say in things like this, and then and then that's a matir for saying whatever you want. Yeah. Okay. Do not say what he. Yeah. Do not say as he. Do not. For you will have deceived with your lips. Do not say what he did to me, I will do to him. I will repay the man in kind for what he did. So this translation is keeping this part neutral. Actually, it's keeping the whole thing kind of neutral, right? I mean, against still seems to be like you're doing something to him in a negative way, but okay. Alter says, do not be a witness for no cause against your neighbor that you should seduce with your lips. Do not say, as he did to me, I will do to him. I will pay back the man by his deeds. All right, that's similar enough to other stuff that I think I can delete it.
Who's
Right.
Alter again?
Robert Alter is a translator, a modern translator. He is, hold on a second. Robert Alter.
I used to think he was like a friend of yours that you.
Oh, he looks like
ahead of time.
He looks like Bilbo.
He does look like Bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. and when you disagree with him, he goes, ah! Okay. He is Berkeley, I think. Yeah. American professor of Hebrew and comparative literature at UC Berkeley. So he did a single-handed translation of the whole Tanakh, which is, you don't understand, you understand, but you don't understand how rare that is for someone to do a single-handed translation. Most of these translations are teams. And he is an academic. He's not religious, but he does utilize like all the different commentaries. So the plus is that you get a set of fresh eyes in the translation. He also tries to preserve the any literary element that comes from the Hebrew. He'll try to preserve it.
Wow.
So that gives you different sensitivity.
Wow.
And but then he also will be, the thing we don't like about him is he plays fast and loose with the texts. So for example, we hold by the Masoretic texts, which were preserved by the Tiberian scholars. But then there's also the Septuagint. There's also the like Dead Sea Scrolls. There's also like other versions of Tanakh, and he will like use whichever one makes sense to him, and he'll alter the text according to his will. Was that?
He'll mix and match it, like as in his.
No, he'll be like this pasuk in Mishlei doesn't make sense, so I'm going to go with Septuagint because that makes sense.
That's what I mean. Like he'll sometimes use one other than the other.
He'll sometimes, exactly.
In his one translation.
Yeah, or in the commentary, he'll explain why. Yeah, which, by the way, if you want to shiur on that, I did not expect to give this shiur. I gave a shiur on Pirkei Avos 3:17, Masoret Siag LaTorah, which is talking about the Masorah of Torah Shebechsav. And Rabbeinu Yonah goes on a rant, much like I have in the past, about how there's no such Masorah for Torah Shebal texts. And so, like in the Mishnah Torah or the Gemara, he says, if you look at the Torah Shebechsav text, the fact that you had these people memorizing all of the vowels and all of the letters and all the spellings and preserving it, it keeps the text by and large accurate. But in Torah Shebal Peh, you have all these different girsahos and Talmud, all this other stuff. So that's if you're interested in that kind of stuff, then I had to give you a share on that.
It's especially funny for Rabbeinu Yonah and Pirkei Avos.
Yes, I know. That's what I said. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question on translation.
Yeah.
So I think it's the Sidra actually, by Miriam getting afflicted with Saras.
Yeah.
It says like on Nasihi Kamis.
Yeah.
Is that an illusion, or is there like a possibility of translation like that? Like al Tahi.
Oh, don't let her be?
Yeah.
Al Tihi Eid
Doesn't
Chinam.
really work here, but like
Right. I mean, Tihi is also yourself, right? Herself or like her or you or your like Tihiyah, right?
Mm.
I think it's the same. Yeah. Yeah. Fuzio?
Also, a question on the pronoun.
Yeah.
On you.
Yeah.
Or no, not you. Don't he. Is that first he to whoever he's witnessing?
In Pasuk 29, as he did to me.
Yeah. Well, okay. Don't be a point with someone. I said.
All right, here, let me make it.
And seduce him, right? So is the him the person you're seducing? You're testifying to, and then the second he is the person you're testifying about.
Good question. Yeah. So I think
that makes more sense to me.
I'm going to go ahead and just jump the gun here by saying the major question we have to ask here is, what is the scenario, right? Like what is it? Who are the parties? What happened? Right. What is the history? What is their history? What is the addressee of the audience? I guess the audience trying to do. Right. There's some history going on here, and this is addressing that situation. And then we also have to ask another big question is.
You might help to spell out the parties. There's
three parties.
There's the person testifying.
Yeah.
There's the person
Hearing the testimony.
the person being testified for or against.
Yeah.
Um.
Do you mean the person he's testifying about?
Yeah.
Is testifying about, and the I can't call the witness of the testimony, the
Onlookers.
the recipient of the testimony, I think, right?
Yeah.
Recipient of the testimony.
Is it the same question as the audience, or is it a different question?
I think here,
The audience is the person who will be testifying.
right. I still am gonna list that as a separate question. Who is the audience? Because I feel like even if you got the scenario, there could be different people in that spot. So I feel like just asking the question is
Yeah,
That's
and
good.
the other question is
hold on a second, Yaakov. Go. Don't hold a second, Yaakov. Yeah.
Another question, isn't this obvious? I mean, revenge is also, being false witness is also.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good question. Hold on. I'm just gonna turn your volume up. Okay. Yeah. So isn't this obvious? Let me just ask the other question that we were kind of asking in different ways. What is the meaning of Eid Chinam? Eid Chinam. Yeah. Ariel?
Yeah, also like these individuals, are they following a specific archetype within Mishlei?
Yeah.
Or-
Are these individuals a specific Mishleic archetype? Yeah, Isaac.
Sub question of 2.
Yeah.
Is the testimony itself false?
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
is it some other defect?
Is the testimony itself false, or is it? Does it? Yeah. Let's just say, or defective, or totally okay, right? Like it's another. It might just be the motive that is bad. Yeah, because let's just go clockwise.
On
Yeah,
that, could it be that not that it's false, but that what space is that it's to someone who's not relevant to.
Right. Yeah. That's a good way to ask it. Yeah. Saying we're true but bad in some other way. Yeah, David.
I couldn't tell this Yaakov was asking as far as mitzvot that already exist here, and go tikkun if you're going to learn in the negative.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. So that is if 29 is negative, don't we already have the isser the lo tase of lo sikom? Yeah. Don't take revenge. Yeah, Chaim?
Isn't the Torah really into like mida connected mida? Like, isn't it like
yes, in fact, in
Like,
fact, this lashon is the lashon of how God is described as in mida connected mida. Yeah, I was wondering about that also.
I was just gonna double down and say,
Right.
Like, doesn't God do that? And are we supposed to be halach to be drachav? What's going on here?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'm going to plug this now, not that you should listen to it necessarily now, but I did give a whole major shiur on at Purim time this year on how God is described as vengeful and how I always used to assume that we're only halach to bidrachav with like the good midos. And like, of course, when it says that God is, ki ga'o ga'a, or like, he's haughty, or like he's vengeful, or he's angry, then we don't do that. But I give a shiur on how Ibn Kaspi explains how there is an application of the halakha b'drachav in Nakama.
That's really familiar.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I gave a shiur on this earlier in the year. Yeah. I did give a shiur. Yeah, not to you. Yeah, not to you guys, but I gave it. Yeah. Or no, maybe we went over it as like a dry run. Yeah, you're right. All right, so I want to ask that question here, which is I'm gonna put it in this way. The lashon of lahashiv leish kifa'alo is the way we describe divine mida keneged mida. Okay, so the question is, oops, sorry, hold on a second here. What do we make of this? And then like, if this, considering the fact that this is a divine mode of conduct, isn't it a good thing? Yeah, Ezra.
What is the Havitisa?
Yes. What is the seduction? What does the I can't spell this. There's a good in between there. Fifitisa mean, and what is its relationship with the first half? Yeah. Ariel and then Sean. Yeah.
Now, if you're learning that 28, I mean, the way our school is learning is that it's positive.
Yeah.
Right. Does that mean that 28 and 29 are opposites? And if so, what is the opposite? Right.
Okay. So let's do this. Let me actually add the art scroll question to here. Is 29 positive or negative? And then what is the relationship between the two pesukim and pesukim? And then if 29 is negative, sorry, it's positive, are they opposites?
Yeah, and if 28 is negative, what is it adding by saying and seduce him with your lips? Like what is that?
Right.
How does that flow?
Yeah.
With the kid?
Yeah. Right. I'll tack that onto this question.
Only translating or I guess interpreting one of the two verses.
Our scroll says, "Do not offer vain testimony against your fellow, to endear yourself with your lips. Do not say, as he has done for me, so will I do for him. I will reward the man according to his acts."
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to add this here, which is if 29 is like whether, I guess, how do we understand this based on the stance we take about 29. Yeah, Sean?
Yeah, so it says that I shall pay the man back pay back the man according to his act.
Yeah.
So why is it that he's specifically doing testimony to pay him back versus some other thing?
Okay, yeah.
It seems if it was like a full Mida Keneged Mida, do the same action that he did.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to actually put that in the question about what's the relationship between the two pesukim. Is if either way, why is he paying him back specifically by aid chinam and upitui sifasayim, right? Why not some other way? I think that does have to be asked according to whether it's positive or negative.
Can I add on to that
Yeah.
question? Why is Shlomo Melech saying don't say this? Like don't say versus like don't do.
Tomar. Oh yeah. That's a
like,
good question. Yeah. Why? Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, why is 29 framed as don't say as opposed to don't do? Yeah. Now I will mention, by the way, that say is also could be a standard for think. Okay, it doesn't have to be like verbalized, right? I think that's just a good way to.
Yeah, I think it changes the whole.
Yeah, that's very strange. Yeah. Now in 28 he does say don't be, right? But yeah, because you.
Was it okay?
Are you asking?
No, new question.
New question.
Yeah. Is the phrase itself the problem? The second part is it not simply to not testify to somebody about some guy negatively, but rather that this is the particular problem with the testimony that you're saying, oh, it's because of this as you did to me or whatever.
Right. So I feel like that fits under a question. Was that a tile?
The leg of the chair.
Oh, leg of a chair. Okay. All right.
Like it could be.
The leg of what chair?
Only like the cover.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah.
Like it seems like it's almost like it's a qualifying or maybe limiting to what extent they mean don't do this kind of false testimony.
Right. So let me ask. All right, I'm just gonna put this as a new question because I don't know where to put it. How does the quote unquote Amira in 29 qualify the entire act that our audience is contemplating doing? That's not the best way to ask it, but I think that's where it has it limited, qualified. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Isaac.
I have an approach already.
Can I ask a question?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So now I know that you group them together.
Yeah.
Because the premise, one of the premises that it's a uniform idea.
Yeah.
Now methodologically, should we think about it just as a group, or can we think about it as two separate?
You can think about it separately,
So,
but you should do that. You should be wary that if it's grouped, then it means you're only talking about half of the case. In other words, this is a good methodology question. Let's say you had a group of two pesukim and it was spelling out an action and then one consequence and then another consequence, right? Then you could analyze them separately. But because of the distinct possibility that you can't understand the case unless you take both of them together, then I would warn against thinking about them individually, too much. You can still think, well, what is an eid chinam, et cetera, et cetera. But I think you can't be confident in an idea unless you take them both into consideration. Yeah.
So that actually brings a question.
Sure.
So it feels like, I'm not sure if this is always the case, but usually it feels like, based on what you're saying, that the way Mishlei sets things up, it does show a consequence.
Yeah. All right. That's a good question. Yeah. What is the consequence here? Yeah. Why not? What is the consequence?
Don't say it.
David, you had a question? No, that's okay. Yeah. I'm also gonna plug this here for people who are just listening to this. Johnny gave a master class in analysis. Yeah, and I think in terms, I've said this before. There are a lot of great methodologies here in yeshivas, accessible library, and then in the depths of the internet. But I don't think I've seen someone in one place have so much of a summary of the entire derech halimud that we have, and the entire thing is focused on asking questions. But it really is a masterclass in analysis, and so I think everyone should watch it. Yeah.
I'm not gonna add something.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that it's the first analysis video or analysis piece shiur.
Yeah.
That's not on Torah specifically.
Yeah.
It works for anything.
Yeah.
Fiction.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's amazing.
Comments on it even mention that. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, wow, I could apply this to like someone.
Yep, exactly. And that is, again, that is a hallmark of our derech. Like I've struggled when people ask, I mean, I'm not going to get into this topic now, but when people ask like, what's so special about YBT? It is that we apply the people think of the Brisker derech as a Talmudic analysis method or Talmudic analysis style, which is even worse. And it is actually a method of thinking, and we apply it to everything, and this is like an extreme example of that, but is very compelling given all those other videos. Okay. All right. Commercial over. Okay. All right. Ideas. Yeah. Yeah. Isaac and then Sean will be next. Yeah.
So I think this is telling a person not to. I think there's a temptation to try to enact like quote unquote Mishlei justice by saying
Been there. Yeah.
Like this person did something wrong. I'm thinking the first something negatively.
Yeah.
Like let's say this person stole money from me.
Yeah.
He stole $100 from me. So I'm going to testify falsely about him that he owes someone $100, so that he's it's like it'll be like me to connect me to he stole money, now he's losing that money.
Yeah. Okay. So you're assuming it's false testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to give an interpretation right now. I'm going to go ahead and state that I don't think it's false testimony, and the reason why is because I think we have a term for that, which is false witness or false testimony. I think I know it's saying chinam to get across some other idea, but I think the fact that there's no evidence here that there's anything actually false, that's why I'm inclined against that interpretation. And I would say that what the Targum said about it being sahada deragla or whatever it said is it's negative and it's unwarranted. What was it? Vain. Yeah. In fact, I just said another translation I think is good. Unwarranted. Right.
Yeah.
So I like the rest of the approach that this.
So I'll cut it down to just half idea.
Okay.
Just for the second.
Yeah.
Part, is this person is doing something that is not specifically warranted by the situation.
Yeah. The witness.
The witness.
Yeah.
Is doing something that's not specifically warranted by the situation. Specifically to cause this guy to get a consequence that he feels the guy deserves,
right,
but isn't actually warranted by
the guy wouldn't have gotten that consequence without this testimony, presumably, right? That's what makes him feel he needs to artificially start the consequence. Yeah.
And so it's saying like even though it is person gets Mishlei justice through Mishlei principles, not, then you don't need to help it along.
Yeah. Right. So, okay. I like that approach. Yeah. Let me just think it through 1 second. So which means, so we still have to answer the question about why Davka Edus, as opposed to like, you could arrange for Mishlei consequences in other ways, but we're going with this as the assumption right now is that this person is, let's use an example, right? Let's say like in school, let's say, one of your classmates is always cheating, right? Okay. And let's say like you go up to the professor and you tell them that this person cheated. Okay. Now your assumption is it's false, right? And my assumption is it's true, but no one would have noticed it yet. Yeah. But you're doing it in order to bring about like these just desserts, right? Yeah. So now the question is, what is the seduction, and then why shouldn't you do this? Yeah.
I'm totally happy to say it's not false.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Right.
I think that's great.
Yeah. So let's assume that it's not false for now, and then if we need to say it's false,
do we ask like what the definition? I mean, how are we defining aid in this case?
We asked what is an aid chinam in this case, but I guess I can add here, to what what is this? What is included in the category of edus here?
To Isaac's point, how do you have a baseless aid without it being a false testimony? How do you have that?
How do you have a baseless aid without?
If it's within the justice, like in judgment, like in a court case, like how do you have a baseless case, or how are you?
No, right. Yeah, I'm inclined to think that this is not in the court scenario.
So that's what I want.
I think so. Yeah.
How are we taking aid?
Yeah, Yaakov.
I did a quick search, and there are those who say it's talking about false testimony. So
Okay, so there's basis there. Yeah. Doesn't mean I'll agree with it, but it means that someone is learning it that way. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna add on a point. I think, let's say the case of cheating.
Mhm.
By you going up and telling the professor that this person's cheating,
Yeah.
now you're getting yourself involved in this,
Right.
and then when the person gets consequences, it'll be because of you, and if they find out that you said it to the teacher, they'll be mad at you. Whereas if the teacher just happened to catch them, then which is going to happen sooner or later, then you're not involved at all, and you can get that satisfaction of the justice happening to them, but without exposing yourself to risk.
Yeah, I have a response to that. I just want to ask: Are you taking notes, or you're?
That's what I was telling you.
Yeah. Oh, that's what. Okay, fine. All right. So I have a question about that, which is, there are cases where you are stepping forward to actually right a wrong, and no one would have done it. So my question is, like, where would you draw the line between this case and that case? Like, I'll give you an example of this. Is I had a class in Turo, and there was a professor, frum professor, who just verbally abused people. Like he would davka pick on frum kids who didn't have a good education, and then he would like ask them questions that he knew they didn't know the answers to, and then mock them for it. It was a really bad thing. And so he would like really like personally mocking them, like just horrendous. So what I did is, I didn't want to endanger myself in the class, but I kept documentation of everything he said and every day that he said it. And then as soon as the grades were in, then I sent it to the head of the department, and the guy got fired. So that was a case where, like, this consequence wouldn't have happened otherwise, but I'm seeing, like, if I don't say anything, then so like I just want to where to draw the line, right?
I'd say the line is where you're an enigmatic.
Right. Like, that's a safe. Right.
You're an enigmatic there.
Right.
There's a purpose for edus.
Right. Correct. Yeah. All right. That's a good barometer of like using enigmatic to be. Fine.
A methodological question.
Yeah.
Like, how are we defining, or how do we generally define Mishlei consequences? Because to me, like, that could be a case of a Mishlei consequence where, like, eventually someone,
the guy
Samaritan is going to come along.
Yeah. Right.
Write down what happened, and so, like, why would that not be considered like just part of Mishlei consequences?
That's kind of what I was asking about from the other direction of like there's in artificially inducing Mishlei consequences, and then there's like, no, these are the consequences. Right? Yeah. That's kind of part of my question. Yeah. Ezra, you had a question?
I have a theory. Go after.
Oh, fine. Okay. And I'm sure. Okay.
I
Yeah.
have a theory after.
So what's the seduction then? V'hifitisa b'spasacha. And who are you? I mean, it sounds like you're seducing the person, right? Who you're testifying against.
I think it could be seducing the person that you're testifying to. Judge.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's another part.
Right. So if it's false testimony, then definitely, right? Yeah. Then you're convincing him of something that is not really real. That's a form of seduction. Right. That might be where, because my initial objection was there's nothing in the pasuk that says false. But then if you take the china means it was unwarranted, and the hifitisa is, some sort of like manipulation of the facts to like get someone to believe something,
Yeah.
Then yeah.
I think there's some sort of intrigue that you're trying to do here when you're I think that maybe that's what's introducing,
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say you tell the like, you are like leaving the professor, an anonymous, like you're trying to like tell to him in a way that doesn't get traced back to you,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Right.
I don't know. So that could just be a good decision,
Yeah.
Like,
So I think you did answer the question before about why not, is that it almost reminds me of that pasuk about the grabbing the dog's ears. Anyone know?
No.
Maybe I'm just thinking about it because I'm planning to write about you want to this is what I want to write about this week. The Shekhinah is anti-dog. That's gonna be Friday's article. Yeah. No, this is Machzik ba'ozne kelev over misabra al riv lo lo. Someone who grabs the ears of a dog. It's like someone who becomes enraged over a quarrel that is not his. It's like if you just go up to a dog and just grab the ears, it's just gonna like attack you. So you're embroiling yourself in a dispute that is not yours. You said something like that, right? Like yeah. I mean, this is a different idea, but it reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think by either something that you are involved in, I think that's
Right.
But your testifying about it is completely unnecessary.
Yeah. So I think this does explain. I mean, I think this is where your idea.
Did you write this down?
What?
Did you write this? I'm not sure if
His idea?
Yeah.
No, I did not. Thanks for reminding me, though. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Keep track of it.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for reminding me. I got to do this. Better late than never. Okay. Isaac is saying. Okay. So this is talking about a situation in which you see an opening for Mishleic consequences, which don't seem likely to come about unless they are artificially induced, okay, through your testimony, okay? Don't, all right? Why? Because you're going to become embroiled in a conflict and possibly consequences, which how would you put it?
Like, because you're the one who's giving the other person consequences.
Because you are the one who is initiating the consequences for the other person. But I feel like there's one more element which you were also saying, which is the pasuk is speaking to a rationalization, right? The pasuk is speaking to a rationalization. I think this explains the halakha of the dracha thing. Namely, I'm just being like God, and what's the line from the Joker about being ahead of the curve?
Which movie?
In the only
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The only good Joker.
Yeah.
The
Or no, it's also the
It's about how everybody's insane.
yeah, no, it's also in the first movie. Batman Begins with the Ra's al Ghul's philosophy of like societies are going to collapse, and we're just like hastening. Yeah, right. And I'm just like a shliach of God, right? A shliach of God who is meting out the consequences. Okay, like I don't know how to spell Ra's al Ghul.
It's like R-A-J.
Ras al Hanud.
Yeah,
That's what I call him in my mind. Yeah. Right. Ras al Hanud is a type of it's a spice. Yeah, half spice. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You know the line from the Gifts of Fire where he's talking about injustice?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I'll
really don't remember.
whatever.
Now I want to look him up.
Yeah.
Do you think
Is
we'll
it
have
ghoul?
time
Like ghost?
No.
That's a fun movie.
Ghoul?
Do you think we'll have time for 3 more approaches today?
All right. Sorry. All right. Yeah. Let's go, Sean.
Okay, so I want to start with the scenario.
Yeah.
To do that, I would start with actually the second pasuk,
Okay.
which is that as he did to me, so I will do to him.
Because historically, that's where it begins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to read it positively, also like Art Scroll,
Mhm.
where the case is somebody helped you out in accomplishing something,
Mm,
right? And so you really want to pay them back.
right.
Now, this other person
Oh,
is
yeah.
now going into a venture and they're doing something.
Yeah.
And without even investigating this thing,
Yeah.
now you have a natural inclination to be like, that's a great thing. I'm going to support this person because that's going to help me pay them back.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of consequences to this.
Yeah.
One consequence is if their endeavor fails,
Yeah.
you just put your name on it. And
Yeah.
so now that's going to really hurt your reputation.
Yeah.
Also, if you're supporting this person without, like, let's say he says like, hey, look at this thing and support me in this. And then you support him with it without really investigating it.
Yeah.
And then it fails, he's going to blame you.
Yeah.
And thirdly, it could also be like if you're doing this in order to pay him back,
Yeah.
right? Maybe that's why it's saying I should pay him back according to his act.
Yeah.
That giving positive testimony for something to help out a fellow is not really paying him back. And so you're gonna think like, oh, I paid him back. And like now I can delay my payment of actually paying him back in the proper way. So there's a bunch of different
Okay. That's
consequences
really
that
good. I like that. Okay. Yeah. And I have an example. Yeah.
Question on that.
Yeah.
Where's the seduction?
Because you're
Seduction is you're trying to get in his good graces because you feel indebted to him. So
Oh,
you're
I thought you're talking of the seduction is in terms of the people who you are testifying to.
Right.
You're trying to convince them that this
I
guy
see.
is,
I see both.
yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then that's the eidos is the like the person.
This is like sadigon.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think like
Yeah.
testifying falsely in order to seduce.
Yeah.
Right. Because according to I mean, there's not a refutation. Yours doesn't align with sadigon because you're not testifying in order to seduce the guy. Right. Like
Yeah,
that's
well,
just,
he's testifying because he wants to
make
maintain his good
right,
graces
right.
of being within this guy's company, and he thinks that this is a great way to pay him back.
Yeah.
And to
You think you can do this by testifying, by putting in a good word for him, right? By putting in a good word for him. But in reality, that's
Which I guess what he's gonna hear about, is I guess the assumption here.
yeah, right. That's a risky move because if he fails, your name will suffer. Okay. B,
And
he'll
also
blame
more.
you, right? C, what was the other thing you said?
if you think that you're paying
oh,
him
yeah.
back through this and you're actually not,
Yeah.
and he doesn't see it that way,
Yeah.
so then you're not going to do the proper things to maintain the relationship, and you're going to
Yeah.
lose the relationship.
So if you think you're paying him back through this, but he doesn't see it that way, then that will affect.
it's going to give you a false sense of security within your relationship.
Yeah.
And that false sense of security is going to harm the relationship.
With him adversely. Yeah, I have an example of this. Is my personal policy, and I'm sure I've upset people by this. Is I don't, it's very common on like social media and stuff for like, especially like on Facebook, like, oh, I'm starting a new business, like can you like spread the word? I'll do that if I have actual knowledge that like the microgreens are good.
I don't want to.
I know, yeah, but like, but and you didn't ask me, but I'm saying like I don't do that for people who, or if I know this person's skill set, and even if I haven't used their service, then I know that they're like, they're good in this area.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it if they're just like starting a new thing, like for this exact reason. I haven't seen so clearly, but I think it's a good.
Yeah, I remember a conversation at the fish mines.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember.
What I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah, you had a shot though.
Ezra was first.
Okay, yeah, Ezra was first, and then Chizkiah also had registered earlier. Yeah.
Alright.
So mine was actually very similar to Sean's, not as well spelled out.
Yeah.
But
I can still take it down afterwards, Ari, even if I end here early. But
Okay.
yeah.
the difference that I have is the audience in 28 and 29 are different.
Okay.
Namely that in 28, the audience is for the person who's going to be an aid and gain the trust, seduce the other
Yeah.
way of. And in 29, it's to the person who was testified for, and
Who was testified?
Or about him?
no for. So I was testifying for Sean,
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
so that I'm
About.
Is that slow up?
I just want to make sure I understand you.
You mean, are you just
But it's yours, but it's
emphasizing
for-
the positive?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean by, that's why I don't want to say about? Because it could be about and still be a positive.
I'm just totally lost now. Hold on a second. Just give me a scenario.
Yeah. I go up and say, Sean did this great thing, give him a trophy.
Okay.
So I'm testifying for him, and I'm by doing that seducing his trust.
Okay.
And now 29 is saying to Sean, don't like try to pay back, like
The guy who did this.
yeah,
Uh huh. Interesting.
don't make it into like this like tit for tat.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna take note of this and we can see if we can develop tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's the real of pesukim?
28 is talking about the person who you are testifying about. I know you want to say for. I just don't understand that lashon.
Because I think he's just trying to lean towards the fact that it's on like to benefit him.
Yeah. Okay. Positively for.
On his
Okay.
behalf.
29 is talking about the recipient, talking to that person, telling him not to think that he has to repay him. Yeah,
Actually,
20 is the would-be testifier.
is talking
There's two audiences?
Yeah.
to
it's the person who's doing the testimony.
Yes.
It's not the person
to the would-be testifier, telling him not to testify falsely about someone in order to benefit him.
Not even, it doesn't have to be falsely.
Okay, in order to benefit someone.
Yeah.
benefit him. Okay.
Talking to the recipient. 29 is talking to the recipient.
Talking to the recipient of the benefits of the testimony, not the recipient of the edus.
Yeah.
Yeah, to the recipients.
Seductive.
Yeah, and of the benefits of that testimony. Yeah, all right. So we're gonna have to try to flesh that out tomorrow. Yeah, please go.
Okay, so I think I agree more so with Isaac. I do believe it does start off in the second half.
Yeah.
But this is an attempt to not speculate about the consequences.
Okay.
To read in the consequences.
Yeah, I'm still am bothered by the fact that it doesn't say consequences. I mean, I think it's
so this is an attempt to say that it is actually talking about the consequences are. It's not obvious to me at first. So okay, so I'm gonna say don't go to an uninvolved third party and try to make them an ally against someone you perceive as an enemy, even if it's true and he is your enemy, like he did something. So the scenario I'm basically painting is this guy did this thing that you're now saying. He went and slandered or said something about you to somebody else.
Okay.
And now you feel like, well, he said something negative. He's a Lashon hara speaker, so I need to go let somebody know that he did that.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're doing the same thing, but you have a bias. You really don't think that's what you think. Well, no, he really is. Like I really need to let people know that this is the kind of person this guy is. That's hurting my reputation. So that's the scenario. So so you might think, well, he damaged our reputation and also involved others, or just hurt me in some general way. But this is not true justice or necessary, and in fact is damaging to both of you, and it may even harm your case more and prevent true justice. So the seduction is that you're telling the third party how he slandered you or brought in other uninvolved parties. And that's what the Amira is. That second thing is also how it starts and what he did to you. Yeah. And so the reason it doesn't have to tell you the consequences because it's already telling you. You yourself see this as a negative.
Okay, that's good. It's a tightly packaged shot. I like that. So yeah. All right. I'm gonna cheat. Can you just send me that and I'll just copy and paste it to the document? Okay. Yeah, Ariel, and then we'll stop for today.
All right. So here's a case, right? So the case is you are interacting with your fellow members in society.
Yeah.
Okay.
As one does.
As one does, right? Now, the case, it's not in the court system. I'm gonna keep it out of there. And I think being made on in general, being made on someone is like being like done him, like judging them internally or based off of what they're doing or whatever. But I think there's a difference between being made on someone of like value, like there's actually something there to be made him on, whether it affects you or your surrounding life with them or whatever. And there's just, all right, I'm just gonna be mad at him just because I'm just gonna be mad at him just for absolutely no reason. And like that's a kingdom.
Okay, well, so what is the motive though?
The motive is there's something corrupt in him. There's something messed up in the guy. Like why he's doing it, I don't know why. Maybe it's because he wants to put him down. Maybe it's because he wants to feel superior. Maybe it's because like he wants to get status or whatever it is. It's like it's like putting down poor people. That's how I'm viewing it. Whatever that is, I don't know how to explain that right now. Okay,
and did you see this is just an interpretation of 28 without 29, or
so I could explain 29. I'm just not 100% satisfied with it, but let me just finish 28. So seducing him means that you're actually now like convincing the guy what he's doing is like problematic even within your own benefit. I mean, like he thinks it's for you, but really it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with like just like how your internal psychology. Right. And the reason why there's a problem is because let's say he's a guy who wants to improve himself and like he talks about other people and like there's no basis for that and like it only undermines him. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Okay, now the second thing is, don't think this, as he did to me, so I'll do to him. It's funny to me that I'm not happy with it because it's not satisfying, but it's almost like it's almost like a mentality. Yeah. Like it's like almost like a reason. Yeah. For the first pasuk, but then like why? Yeah. What's the order? All right, so let me just take down what you said for the first one, and then we can develop it further tomorrow. So, 28 is talking to somebody who gives unwarranted testimony to someone about and it is specifically about like it could be their behavior. It could be not throwing the garbage can. Whatever it is.
The behavior. Prompted.
The person who testified.
Yeah, prompted. And and this is prompted not by like
Concrete.
by like a necessity,
Yeah.
but by some issue that the witness himself has. Okay, so the consequence of this is that the person is that you're going to be tricking this guy into thinking that he has some issue that he needs to work on, when really this just came from your own issues. In other words, like, let's say like your boss comes in, is having a bad day, and then just like tells you like how you should be changing this and this and this and this. Really, it's just their own like issues that they're taking out on you. But then you're gonna treat it as testimony, you know, and be like, oh, I got to change my acts. Yeah.
There's one other consequence to your also, Ariel. I think that if the person has a sense that this isn't actually a problem, then they'll specifically fight against you and like, oh,
right. That would be the other case. Right.
Yeah,
So right. In other words, it's both. If they believe you, then that's bad, and if they fight against you, then that's going to just ruin the credibility and
That's good,
right.
That's also that's a good.
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
also
Good.
good
Good. All right. Very interesting set of pesukim. Hopefully, we'll get some clarity tomorrow. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Good.
I sent you.
Thanks for coming. All right.
I don't know how
No, it's fine. I just wanted to
clear
preserve it.
how I
Yeah.
said it, 'cause there's still no